improving pitching mechanics can be very impactful on your baseball career. Everyone wants to throw harder, everyone wants to throw more strikes, and everyone wants to prevent injuries. All these things can happen if you can repeat solid pitching mechanics over and over and over again. But overcomplicating pitching mechanics can make these really difficult to accomplish. So today I just want to go over some simple keys, some simple tips that can help improve your pitching mechanics. What's good, everybody? It's Perci Garner, former Major League pitcher, and I want to do everything I can to help you become the best pitcher you can. Now, on this journey, we got to remember, we got to crawl before we walk, and you know, it's going to be a long journey, but let's just try to get better every day, 1% better every day. And if you learn anything from these videos, make sure you like and subscribe. I would greatly appreciate it. Please subscribe, and you know, let me know down in the comments what other videos you want me to make about pitching, and I will take your feedback and we'll make another video about it. So, or you can join my pitching Discord. Link will be in the description. We're growing that community there. We love baseball, but we're opening it up to everything. But we want to focus on baseball there and grow the community. And I love Discord. If you don't know much about Discord, hit me up and I'll tell you all about it. I love it. But other than that, let's just get started. Now today, we're going to be talking about pitching mechanics, but I'm going to keep it simple. I'm not going into super, I'm not going in depth, but I will put a video from Trevor Bauer in the description where he goes in depth and he does some video review of some of his people from his Discord community. So I'll make sure I put that in there. He goes in depth. He'll have a major league pitcher, and he'll also have one of his Discord members, and he'll be reviewing their film. And it's a good video, but we're going to stay simple today because I believe, like the intro said, overcomplicating things, especially for young pitchers, can really hinder your results. So today we're just going to talk about, lower half and what it should look like at the beginning of your motion. We're going to talk about direction, rotation, and how those two work in sync to develop a great pitching mechanics and pitching motion. And then my checkpoints for when your foot lands right before you throw. So we're also going to do a little review of Jacob deGrom. If you don't know who that is, nasty pitcher, throws hard, really good mechanics, and we're just going to look at his videos a little bit. And I got a nice little kind of overlay thing set up that we're going to have that I'm pretty proud of. But without further ado, let's get into it. So the things I really just want to touch on today with the lower half and starting at the beginning of the motion is something that I kind of struggled with, which was I think Trevor Bauer calls it drift, but it's just making sure your hips are gaining a little bit of ground towards home plate before you start actually moving toward the home plate. So as you're doing your leg lift, your hips are telling your body, hey, we are the leader of this pitching motion. Not the shoulder, not the glove, front side, none of that. Your hips are the leaders, especially at the beginning. So if you can get them going a little bit forward at the beginning of the motion, no matter how high you get your leg kick, I recommend at least having somewhat of a leg kick, but I'm also not a big proponent of a ginormous leg kick. But just focusing on making sure your hips are driving towards your target, which is linear direction, and then getting some rotation later in the delivery, which we'll talk about. So the other thing, the direction and rotation is very important, and I don't want any of my pitchers, if you get private lessons from me, one-on-one lessons, you're never going to hear me really go into detail about this. I kind of want it to happen naturally. Now, if you're struggling to do it, we'll dive in. But a lot of things I want to stay on surface level because I don't want pitchers out there like a robot. I want them being athletic. And in practice is where you really do work on certain things. And we may over-exaggerate some things in practice, but in the game, I don't want you doing that. So, but last but not least is the landing. So when that front foot lands, my biggest thing, I want to make sure that this arm is in a good, healthy position, not further back. So when you're coming through, it's going to damage your arm that way, and obviously not too close where you're flexing. Just in around 90 degrees, and that will result in a good, healthy position for you to throw from. Right when if you're looking at film, and I wanted to have film of my nephew, but we're just going to look at DeGrom. But my nephew did a good job with being in a good position as his foot hit the ground. But I didn't get permission to put his video up on the internet, so I'm not going to do that. But yeah, so we might as well just get into the video. So let's check out this new scene, y'all. Purdy. Okay, so we're looking, and we're looking at DeGrom, and he's going from the windup. But like I always recommend, when you're learning and you're a beginner, focus on the stretch. But you're going to see from his windup that he literally is almost pitching from the stretch. The couple of movements he does at the beginning really doesn't get him much momentum, which I know a lot of people say, hey, we want momentum, that's why we do the windup, and you feel like you can get going. But you'll see here, as he gets going, see that step? All he did was step forward, and that's kind of what I did too when I pitched from my windup. Now it's basically he's from the stretch right here. He pauses, and it's almost like he's from the stretch. See that he might as well just be pitching from the stretch now. But it's all rhythm and timing, I'm sure, with him. So as you see here, he's going to lift that leg, and right at the top, he's got a little bit of forward movement. Now I wish I had a pointer, but as you can see here, right when he gets to the top, he's already got forward movement going towards home plate already. So he's telling his body his hips are the leaders. They are leading. Another thing is sometimes you may see pitchers who maybe their shoulders are back a little bit and there's a little bit of tilt here. I'm okay with that, just not as long as it's not over-exaggerated. But that's part of the drills I do in one-on-one lessons. If you aren't able to get your hips going, then I recommend like having a wall drill where you're standing up and then you kind of get your hips going. So we see DeGrom here gaining ground, or as Trevor Bauer will call it, drifting towards home plate at the leg kick. And this is where we're expressing the lower half during the beginning of the pitching motion. So now he's going to start his descent down the mound. And I say down because a lot of things I used to do early in my career where once I got to my position where he's at, I would just kind of fall down almost. So like, tall and fall, some people call it. But he really gets in his lower half here, and I think that's very important. I didn't really, get in my lower half as much as I could have because I always was worried about angle, but I think it's more important, especially if you're trying to throw hard, that you really get down in with that knee bend, this knee bend right here. And he probably could get lower, but he's a tall guy, and he's obviously throwing hard enough, so he doesn't need to get low. But if you're young and you're not able to get very low here, just know that just comes with building strength. Because if you think about it, this is like doing a single leg squat. So if you're not that strong and you can't really balance and do that single leg squat, that's something you got to work on, so you can be able to get more in that leg and use your legs more. Because throwing hard isn't just all arm. Okay, so he gets to this position, hips are level, front side's good. I always want to make sure the front side isn't opening up, or it's not already cutting yourself off. So he's in a good spot. Mine usually is a little bit higher here, I get a little bit higher on my delivery. But let's make sure right when he lands, if he gets in that healthy throwing spot, boom, he's landing. And look at this. It's a darn 90-degree angle right here. He's pretty much perfect here. Glove side's still good. Hips are good. They're rotated through. And he's getting good push off the rubber. And the landing is really one of the things I like to focus on because it tells you a lot about your delivery. Now, the next step I want to look at is how he finishes through. I have a little thing, and I've done a little bit of research, but a lot of hard throwers with this front leg, it will kind of straighten out and kind of be the cause of a stop and a lot of the energy to go towards the throw. So let's check out DeGrom's here. So this front leg, let's see if it straightens out at all. We definitely don't want to see this go forward, but if he straightens this out at all, I think he'll be sitting pretty, which we all know he throws 100. So he straightens it out, but he doesn't like lock me. I almost lock my leg out. But obviously not everyone has to do this. He's obviously a little bit different than me, and that's why he's still pitching in the league. But you notice that that leg kind of stops himself, and all the energy transfers to his arm. And then we see the good finish with the leg coming through. Now, his finish is a lot more controlled than me. I would almost be falling over. But I just think it's pretty cool to be able to look at somebody like DeGrom and see the energy that he gets and the energy that he's able to transfer between his body and his arm, because it's a lot of stored energy, and then he unleashes it. And that's why I love pitching, because there's a lot of different ways you can do it. Not everyone has to look the same. I'm not a big fan of creating machines, but there are simple factors that you want to make sure, just because we want to stay healthy and we want to have a solid pitching mechanic kind of framework where we're not having to learn and compensate and learn different things that we might be thinking about on the mound, because we definitely do not want to be thinking mechanics in the game. In practice, and when you're playing catchers or things, is when you can focus on, and we talked about that in the last video where we're talking about grips. But when you're doing pitch mechanics, it's a good time to throw when you're playing catch and focus. So without going into too much detail, I tried not to, but I just love pitching so much, and I love talking about it. But again, if there's any questions, put them down in the comments. If there's anything you think I'm wrong on, or you think I missed, or a key in the pitch mechanic that you feel that I failed to mention, make sure you you can DM me, or you can put a comment down below of what you think. And of course, like I said, to go in more depth, I'll put the link to one of Trevor Bauer's pitch mechanic videos. So I know he's got a lot of stuff going on right now, but his knowledge of pitching is I respect it, and I believe he knows what he's talking about. So that's why I'm sharing this video. So yeah, other than that, I'm liking this two streams / videos per week. Like I said, we got another podcast coming with a baseball player, Jared Parker, and one of his business partners, and with the NFTs. So I'm excited to get to that podcast. And we got more episodes coming, thanks to the feedback that I've gotten on Facebook. We're going to be talking about a multitude of things, but let me just go over a couple things that we are looking at doing. So I know we talked about mental health and grips and wind up and stretch and arm care, but I might go into more detail about arm care. But we're going to be looking at maybe mindset of a MLB pitcher, or just a pitcher who has seen success. I'm going to share a bullpen routine, a throwing routine, because I talk about catch and how important it is. So I'll share my routine, what I did, and then different ways of maybe holding runners. to stop the the run game of the opposing team. And then look at some maybe other exercises with the rotator cuff and stuff to prevent injuries. That all kind of goes in with arm care. But the biggest one I really want to talk about, which we might do next Wednesday, is working with the catcher and making sure that you're pitching with conviction. Because, we're not going to get into it, but that'll be for the next video. But I appreciate all the support. I appreciate everybody stopping by. I appreciate the views I'm getting. Obviously, I have goals for this YouTube channel, and I want to keep making videos. And if you can give me any feedback, I appreciate it. But yeah, we'll see you next stream. Peace.